Welcome to the Developer Service YouTube channel. On today's episode, we are going to be creating 3 command line applications using Python. We're going to be creating an image resizer, password generator, and a currency converter. As usual, we'll be following the code from the blog post on the Developer Service blog. I will leave a link in the description, not just for the blog post, but also for the source code, in case you want to get the source code directly. So join me and let's see how we can implement 3 different command line applications. As you can see, we're going to be using PyCharm to implement the code. I already have a PyCharm project ready to show you. This is all the requirements that are necessary. We have the click library that we'll be using to build command line applications very easily. We have the pillow for the image resizer application to be able to handle the images and process images. And we're going to have the request library for the currency converter so that you can make API calls. So for the first application, the image resizer, this is the code that is necessary. So we do our import. As mentioned before, we import the image from the PL library, and we're also importing the click to enable to create command line applications. As you can see, we have several decorators that allow us to very easily with the click library create the command line applications. So one of the first decorators is precisely saying that's command line application. Then we're defining one of the arguments, the input file, which must exist. Then we're defining the second argument as the output file, which might exist or might not exist. And we're defining also options. We're defining the width, and we're defining the height. Both of them are optional, so they can be passed or not passed. And these decorators are decorating the function that actually handles the image resize. The function is called resize image, which receives the input file and the output file. This comes from the arguments defined with the click library, and also the width and the height. Again, the inputs from the click library and from the command line. The code itself, we first open the image. Again, the click library is going to validate if it exists or not, so that's a validation we don't need to do here. We confirm if we have both the width and the height parameters. If that's the case, then we just define the new size to the values passed in the command line. If we only have the width, then obviously we assign that value and we calculate the new size, taking into consideration the aspect ratio for the height, which we calculate here based on the width. The same for the height. If we have the height, we register that value and we calculate the new size with the height, and the width also calculated from maintaining the aspect ratio from the height. If none of these options is passed, then we send a message stating that either the width or the height must be specified. If all is okay, then we resize our image to the new size with the type cubic as image resizer. We save the image to the output file, which again passed from the command line parameter, and we just with the click echo, we just echo the confirmation that the image has been resized. And as standard Python script, we are calling this resize image function if we are calling this file directly. As an example, we can call with Python image resizer. We have an input file, which I have here. As you can see, the input file is 950 by 500, and I'm going to be resizing it from 200 to 200 for the output PNG. Let's execute. You can see the output image has resized and has been saved. If I click on the output, you see now that it has 200 by 200, so it has been resized from the original size. And that is our image resizer command line application. Our next application is the password generator. So as imports, we're importing the string, we're importing random, and of course again the click library for building the command line application. As before, we decorated the function with the click command to state it's a command line command. We're defining in this case only options. We're defining the first option, which has a default, which is length, we're defining the option to use numbers or not use numbers, and we're also defining to use symbols or not use symbols. And we're stating that these are flags, so that they can either be included or not included. So the function generate password receives the length and the use numbers and the use symbols from the input options. The code itself, we're setting up our characters, that's all the hash letters that can be possible. If we have the use numbers flag, then we also add the digits. And if we have the symbols, then we also have add to the characters the punctuation. Then we generate the password, and that's simply a join from a random choice of all the available characters. And we obviously do that in a loop for the length, so each character gets filled in with one of the possible types. And then we just echo, saying that the password has been generated, and we show the password that was generated. Again, we'll use the main when we're calling this script directly. So if I run this script, and it will be the password generator, and we can state the length. In this case, I'm going to say that the length is going to be 10. I'm not going to use any numbers or symbols. So if we run, we see the first password that was generated with a length of 10 and with the available letters. I can now define that I want to use the numbers. And then again 10, in this case it has the numbers also included. And I can also run it by saying that I want to use the symbols. And see, length of 10, which now has all the possible available combinations. And this is our password generator command line application. Our last application is the currency converter application. And for that you need to register to get an API key with the Open Exchange Rates API. You can just follow the link on the blog post. And you can just set up for a free plan. You can just need to fill in your email, password, and your full name. And after you have signed up, you will receive an API key in your email that you can use for calling the API in the free plan, which these limitations, but perfectly suitable to build now our command line application. So let's see the implementation. As usual, import the click. We're also importing the request library so that we can call the API. We are defining our command line application with the click, defining 3 arguments: the amount, which is a float, and from currency, which is a string, and to currency, which is also string. We're defining one option, which is the API key, which must be passed in order for the API to be properly called. Again, our function is called convert function, which receives the amount, the from currency, the to currency, and the API key, all from the click arguments and options. We're going to be fetching from the API. We'll define our URL. We're getting the latest value with the API key, the base currency, and to currency. We are calling the URL with the request library, a get request. We're getting the response in JSON to our data variable. We're validating if our response was successful or not. In case it was not successful, we're going to be outputting an error to the command line, and obviously we return from the function. If all is okay, we're going to be converting our currency. So the conversion rate we're getting from the key rates from the response dictionary, and that we do to the currency. And the converted amount, we'll simply multiply the passed amount by that conversion rate, and we're printing the result, properly formatting it so that it displays correctly on the command line. So we can now run our currency converter application. I prepared an example here. So we're calling Python currency converter. We're converting 100 USD to euro, and we're passing in our API key. You should get your own API key. And we see the result of converting 100 USD to euro. That's 92.37. And as you can see, we have just built a command line application to perform the currency converter. And it concludes today's episode. If you want more details or you prefer to read, you can check out the blog post. I will post a link in the description for the blog post and the source code as mentioned. Thank you for watching, and until the next episode, happy coding.